I should have known something was off the moment I stepped out onto the pool deck. Conversations stopped mid-sentence, heads turned, and for a few seconds all I could hear was the hum of the pool filter and the distant sizzle from the grill. It was supposed to be a simple, carefree Saturday, a backyard pool party, just a few close friends, cold drinks, laughter, and sunshine. Instead, the air felt thick with something I couldn't yet name, and the silence? It wasn't surprise. It was guilt. My name is Renee. I'm 32 years old and had been married to Jordan for 5 years, 8 years together in total. To most people, we were the kind of couple that made others say relationship goals. Jordan had that magnetic charm, the guy who always knew how to keep a party alive. He was funny, attentive, and he played the role of the perfect husband so well, I started believing maybe we really were unbreakable. His friends, Eric, Will, and Anthony, had been with him since college. They were like brothers, tight-knit, loyal, and always around. I got along with them too, even if I was usually the only woman in the group. That day, I walked out in my white beach cover-up, sunglasses slipping down my nose, and instantly noticed something was wrong. For grown men looked at me like I had just caught them red-handed. I tried to brush it off, forcing a light laugh. Did I interrupt something? I asked, hoping the casual tone would bring things back to normal. Jordan, sitting at the edge of the pool with a beer in hand, gave me a strange half-smile, the kind you give when you're trying too hard to act like everything's fine. Will jumped up a little too quickly and offered to make me a drink. Eric began fiddling with the Bluetooth speaker like he was trying to change the subject with music. And Anthony, he couldn't even look at me. I wasn't alone in sensing it. Lexi, my best friend, slid next to me, her voice low. "Okay, what was that?" she whispered, eyes scanning the group. I had no answer for her, but I felt that slow crawl in my stomach. The kind of feeling you get when something you've trusted starts to unravel quietly. The music came back on. People laughed again. Kids splashed in the shallow end of the pool. But the tension didn't go away. I kept noticing the little things. Jordan constantly checking his phone and walking away mid-conversation. The guys speaking around me instead of to me, and the occasional glances exchanged when they thought I wasn't paying attention. At one point, Jordan whispered something to Will that made them both laugh. Then they glanced in my direction, just for a split second. My smile froze. That wasn't just a friendly moment. That was a secret being kept, and I wasn't part of it. It got worse when Lexi and I started cleaning up near the patio table. Her phone buzzed, and as she checked it, her expression changed instantly. Her eyes found mine wide and alarmed. She turned her phone screen toward me, and I saw it. A screenshot of a text thread with Jordan's name at the top. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like," she murmured. But it was. It was exactly what it looked like. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just a weird vibe or a rough patch. This was something deeper, something hidden. The messages were vague. Yes, but they told a story. Mentions of a hotel room, a plan, someone being kept in the dark, making sure the guys are on board. The party continued around me, like nothing had happened. Jordan stood by the grill laughing with Eric, flipping burgers, chatting with guests. But to me, it all looked like a movie set. Fake smiles, perfect props, all covering something ugly behind the scenes. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there with Lexi, holding a paper plate of chips, pretending everything was normal while my heart pounded in my chest. I needed to be sure. I needed more, because once I confronted Jordan, there would be no going back. and I had a feeling the real surprise at this pool party hadn't even started yet. The rest of the afternoon felt like living in slow motion. My body was moving, smiling, handing out drinks, checking the chips, doing all the things a hostess should do, but my mind was racing. Every word from Jordan felt rehearsed. Every glance between him and his friends was like a silent message I wasn't meant to decode. Lexi stayed close. She didn't push, but I could feel her eyes on me, watching, waiting for a signal. I think she knew I was barely holding it together. I sat down under the patio umbrella, plate untouched in front of me. Jordan handed me a drink, a plastic cup with my favorite blend of pineapple and rum, and gave me that familiar half-smile. "You good?" he asked, voice casual. Too casual. "Yeah," I answered flatly, just soaking it all in. He kissed the top of my head and walked off, probably thinking I was clueless. I wasn't. Not anymore. Lexi took the seat beside me and leaned in. "You sure you want to wait on this?" she asked quietly. "No," I replied. "But I have to. Because here's the thing, I wasn't about to blow everything up based on half a text message and bad vibes. I didn't want to leave room for denial or manipulation. I didn't want Jordan to twist the truth into something else. I needed facts. Hard, cold proof. And then I got it. 15 minutes later, the gate creaked open. A woman walked in, one I didn't recognize. She wasn't dressed like the other guests. She wasn't in flip-flops or a sundress. She wore tight jeans, heels, a leather crossbody bag, and confidence. Her hair was slicked back into a sharp ponytail, and her eyes scanned the yard like she was looking for someone. Not lost. Not confused. Focused. Lexi noticed her at the same time I did. "Do you know her?" she asked. I shook my head. Nope. But someone did. Jordan. The second he saw her, his expression shifted. Not panic exactly, but surprise, guilt, recognition. He moved fast, crossing the yard like he needed to get to her before anyone else did. He didn't hug her, didn't smile. They spoke in hushed tones. He touched her arm. She didn't pull away. Lexi whispered beside me, "Well, that's not suspicious at all." I stood up. I didn't walk straight over. I wasn't ready for a scene, but I edged closer, pretending to grab a soda from the cooler near where they stood. I turned my back, angled just enough to hear them. "You weren't supposed to come here," Jordan hissed. "We agreed." "I'm done waiting," the woman replied. Her voice was calm. "You've had weeks. I'm not doing this your way anymore." I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't some misunderstanding. This wasn't a coworker dropping by or a cousin from out of town. This was her. The woman from the texts. The one the guys were helping cover for. The one Jordan had been hiding. Lexi came up behind me, 2 sodas in hand, her jaw tight. "What now?" "Now." I had no idea. I didn't know who she was or what Jordan had promised her. But I knew this moment, this woman, her showing up like that, it meant things weren't going to stay hidden much longer. 15 minutes. That's all it took for the storm to break. The woman didn't come to stir drama quietly. She came with purpose. She didn't care who saw. She didn't care what it looked like. And Jordan? He was clearly losing control of the situation. He tried to pull her away from the party, guiding her toward the side of the house, away from the crowd. That's when I knew. This wasn't just flirting. This wasn't just emotional cheating or late-night texts. This was real. And it was time for me to find out exactly what my husband had been hiding. I didn't hesitate. I didn't storm off in a rage or throw a drink like some movie character. I just walked. Quietly. Calmly. Because when your whole world starts to tilt, the most dangerous kind of anger is the kind that doesn't raise its voice. I followed them around the side of the house. I didn't know what I expected to hear, maybe him begging her to leave, maybe her threatening to expose everything. What I heard instead stopped me cold. "You said this wouldn't take this long," she said sharply. "I didn't know she was going to. She's your wife, Jordan. You knew she was coming." I stepped around the corner. Jordan's eyes widened like a kid caught stealing. Hers didn't. She looked right at me, cool, steady, unapologetic. Not a flinch of shame in her expression. "So," I said, folding my arms, "this is the surprise?" Jordan opened his mouth, but nothing came out. She turned to me with a sigh, like this confrontation was inevitable. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way," she said. "But you were going to find out eventually." I looked at him. "Jordan, say something." His voice was thin. Fragile. "It's not what you think." I laughed. It came out sharp and bitter, and it scared even me. "That line still works for you?" He stepped toward me, palms up, trying to soothe. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. She wasn't supposed to come here." Then what was supposed to happen? I snapped. "I find the texts, see you sneaking off, ignore my gut, and then what? Pretend nothing's wrong while you hide your side life at our pool party." He didn't answer. Of course he didn't. The woman crossed her arms. "You should ask him how long it's been." I looked at her, then back at Jordan. "How long?" He hesitated, let out a shaky breath. 6 months. 6 months. That hit harder than I expected. My mouth went dry. My hands tingled. 6 months of making dinner together. Of folding his laundry. Of sleeping beside him. Of planning this party. All while he carried on a second relationship in secret. While I smiled in photos and he smiled back, pretending. The world around me dimmed. I could still hear the music in the background. The splashing, the clinking of glasses. But it was muffled, like I was underwater, drowning in something I didn't choose. "You let me plan this party," I said quietly. "You let me invite people into our home, into my home while you were hiding this. You didn't invite her, no. But you invited the mess. And now here it is." He looked down. He couldn't even meet my eyes. That was when Lexi rounded the corner. Her eyes scanned our faces, and without needing to ask, she knew. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. I wasn't. Not even close. But I nodded. Because I wasn't gonna fall apart here. Not in front of him. Not yet. "You need to leave," I told Jordan, my voice low and steady. "Both of you. Get out of my house. Renee, now. Before I say something I can't take back." He stared at me, his jaw clenched, eyes glossy. Then he turned. The woman followed without a word. No apology. No fight. Just the sound of betrayal walking away in wet flip-flops. Lexi put her hand gently on my back. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The tears wouldn't come. But the fire inside me? It was just starting to burn. And I had no idea the worst part wasn't even over yet. After Jordan left with her, the energy at the party changed completely, and not in a way I could fix. People noticed. They always do. The music kept playing, kids still laughed in the pool, but the undercurrent had shifted. The laughter was thinner. The smiles didn't last as long. The air itself felt like it was waiting for something to collapse. I told everyone the party was ending early. Something about a family emergency. I thanked them for coming, helped usher out the stragglers, handed off leftover burgers and half-empty soda bottles. All the while, I was clutching something invisible, this growing, choking weight in my chest I couldn't describe. Lexi stayed behind to help clean up. She didn't say much. Just followed my lead, quiet and steady like she always did when life cracked open. We tossed soggy towels into a bin, stacked plastic cups, and swept up spilled chips under the patio table. I thought that was it, the betrayal, the explosion, the end. I was wrong. Hey, Lexi said gently, not looking at me. You should sit down. I'm fine. No, she said. You're not. And I need to tell you something. Something in her voice made my stomach drop. It wasn't just serious. It was loaded full of guilt, fear, something worse. I froze. What? I asked, barely above a whisper. She reached into her back pocket and pulled out her phone. When I showed you that text read earlier, she began, hesitating. I didn't tell you everything. The world tilted again. Lexi didn't look ashamed, not exactly. She looked like someone who had made a decision a long time ago and was finally realizing how much it cost. I didn't know how to tell you without blowing everything up, she said. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have told you months ago. Lexi, I said. What are you talking about? She tapped her phone, then handed it to me. New messages. Another thread. Not between Jordan and the other woman. Between Jordan and Lexi. I didn't understand at first. My eyes scanned the screen, looking for context. Something, anything that made this make sense. And then the words hit. Don't worry. She won't find out. I've got her distracted. You owe me for this. You're the only one I actually trust with this. My hands went cold. I looked up at her, blinking slowly, trying to keep from falling apart. What is this? She looked like she might cry, but she didn't. At first, I thought I was just covering for a friend. He said it was temporary, that he just needed space before ending things. I told myself I was doing it for you, that if I kept an eye on it, maybe I could protect you. But then it got messy, and I was already in too deep. You lied to me. I didn't mean to. You lied to me. I was trying to stop you from getting hurt. My voice dropped. You were helping him. She didn't answer. I turned away. The tears still wouldn't come, but my throat burned. This betrayal, this was deeper, colder. Jordan lying? I could almost see that coming. But Lexi, she had been my person, my safe place, my sister by choice, and she chose him. Why now? I asked, voice barely steady. Why are you telling me this now? She swallowed hard. Because I think he's planning to come back. And I don't think he's done lying yet. I stared at her. I wasn't looking at my best friend anymore. I was looking at someone I didn't recognize. Someone who had helped orchestrate my humiliation like it was a show playing out behind my back. The affair didn't just break my marriage. It was managed, covered up, protected, and she had been the one holding the umbrella over it all. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. But I knew what had to happen next. If Jordan thought he still had a way back into my life, he was about to find out just how wrong he was. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry either. I just sat at the edge of my bed, staring at Lexi's messages, reading them over and over until they stopped surprising me, until the pain turned into clarity. I had spent the entire day discovering the truth piece by piece. Jordan's affair, his lies, Lexi's betrayal. But now I had all the pieces. The story was complete, and there was nothing left to hide. By the time the sun rose, I knew what I had to do. Jordan texted me the next morning as expected. I need to talk to you. I owe you that much. He still didn't know I had the full picture. He thought he could explain it away, control the narrative. He still thought he held the cards. So I told him to come over. Alone. He arrived in sweatpants, face drawn, like he hadn't slept either. The charming mask he wore at the party was gone. This was the stripped-down version of him, the man behind the curtain. I didn't say anything when I opened the door. Just stepped aside and let him in. He sat across from me at the kitchen table. Between us was a manila envelope, thick with printed screenshots. His name was all over them. "You look tired," I said flatly. He flinched. "Renee, look. I know I've messed up." "You broke something," I interrupted. He lowered his eyes. I slid the envelope across the table. "Before you speak, I want you to understand something. I know about her. I know about Lexi. I know what you planned. What you said. I don't need your version of the story." He opened the envelope, scanned the first page, and visibly deflated, like the weight of everything he'd done hit him all at once. "You went through my phone?" he asked. "No," I said. "Lexi gave them to me." That got his attention. He looked up, stunned. "She told you?" "She told me everything." My voice didn't shake. Because for a second, she remembered I was a person. A real one. Not just some obstacle in your way. Jordan sat in silence, staring at the table like it might offer him an escape route. "You were my husband," I continued. "You were supposed to protect me from this kind of pain, not be the one who caused it. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, but it did," I said sharply. "And you let it. You smiled in pictures with me. You let me plan that party. You shared a bed with me while you were sneaking around. And you had a whole system to keep it hidden. You even used Lexi." His head dropped into his hands. "I was scared," he muttered. "I thought if I just handled it quietly, I could—" "What? Keep both of us?" I snapped. "Keep the comfort and the thrill? Don't insult me. This wasn't fear. This was calculation." He looked at me then, finally really looked at me. "I still love you," he said softly. That was the moment I realized. Love isn't always enough. I stood up and walked to the front door. "Opened it." "This chapter's closed, Jordan," I said. "I won't drag this out. I'm not going to destroy your life. But I'm done letting you be in mine." He stood there for a moment like he didn't believe I meant it. But then, slowly, he walked out. No goodbye. No argument. Just silence. And the sound of the door clicking shut behind him. I stood there, not moving. No tears, no shaking. Just stillness, the kind that only comes when you finally stop holding your breath. But just as I turned back toward the kitchen, my phone lit up. A new message. From an unknown number. 2 words, "You're next." And everything inside me went cold again. At the time, it felt like a threat. Like some final twist from Jordan's playbook. But it wasn't. It was a warning and strangely a gift. The message came from her, the woman he had been seeing. The one who showed up at the pool party. Turns out she wasn't just some fling. Jordan had made promises to her too. Ones he never planned to keep. When she realized she'd been played, just another piece in his carefully constructed game, she walked away. But not before sending me that message. A heads up. A strange form of solidarity. We ended up talking. Not right away. But when she reached out again weeks later, something in me said, respond. I didn't know why. We weren't friends. We'd never be. But we were 2 women burned by the same fire, and we both deserved answers. She told me everything. The lies he told her, the timelines, the way he kept us apart while feeding each of us a different story. She hadn't known about Lexi either. And when she found out, she was just as sick as I was. He wasn't just lying to me. He was lying to all of us. And Lexi, she never tried to come back into my life. She moved out of state a few weeks after everything imploded. I found out through a mutual friend. No messages. No calls. Just silence. Honestly, that was best. Some betrayals don't deserve closure. Some friendships don't deserve a second chance. As for Jordan, he sent one final message. I understand. I won't contact you again. That was it. No grand apology. No begging. No long confession of love. Just the quiet resignation of someone who finally realized they had broken something beyond repair. And me? I didn't go on a revenge spree. I didn't post a dramatic status or burn his clothes in the driveway. I didn't do what people expect you to do after your heart's been shattered. I just started living honestly. For myself. I started therapy. I got real about the parts of me that stayed too long. That made excuses. That mistook red flags for temporary shadows. I learned to forgive myself, not for loving the wrong people, but for forgetting my own worth while doing it. And most importantly, I let go. Not because they deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. Here's the truth. Betrayal doesn't always come with slamming doors or loud arguments. Sometimes, it shows up with smiles and barbecue smoke and people who swear they have your back. But betrayal doesn't have to break you. Sometimes it wakes you up. It reminds you of who you are, of your voice, your boundaries, and the fact that you deserve so much more than half-truths and conditional love. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm clear. And if you've ever been where I was, if you've ever doubted your gut, silenced your instincts, or questioned your worth because of someone else's deception, let me say this. You're not crazy. You're not too much. And you are absolutely worth starting over for. Thank you for listening to my story.